three main policies for this election?
I would say that my three main policies are improving mental health services on campus, ensuring that we have a commitment to free and open debate on campus, and increasing transparency within YUSU.
Fantastic. So you've publicly said on your Facebook profile that you are, quote, awful at time management. Why should people bother to vote for you?
Well, on my Facebook profile, that was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. I had made the thing public, and I probably should have kept it to friends only. I would ask the electorate to forgive me for such an indiscretion and say I'm not at all awful at time management.
So you are good at time management?
I am good at time management, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So you talked a lot about mental health, and you
Yes.
said this is the focal point of your campaign.
Yeah.
Open Door is something you've also spoken about. Open Door is a university service, and it's not really anything to do with YUSU. So how would you think you would have that effect?
Okay, so the point is, what would be great is if I could say, I'm going to double the amount of staff that Open Door have, and I'm going to slash waiting times for appointments. But there's not a lot that can be done. We can lobby the university to put funding towards Open Door, but apart from that, there's not a lot we can do with Open Door. So it's looking at other services that the university can do, that YUSU can do towards mental health. For instance, last month or the month before, the University of Birmingham put in its mitigating circumstances framework an explicit provision for victims of rape and sexual assault. YUSU and the university do not currently have that in the mitigating circumstances provision. It's technically covered under the victim of a serious crime clause, but a lot of victims of those crimes don't go to the police. And it's just a way of improving people who are in an extremely traumatic and an extremely bad situation for their mental health, ensuring that they have the adequate support in terms of mitigating circumstances that they don't currently have.
Okay, interesting. So you've spoken a lot about increasing university-level support for students. What do you mean by that?
So that would be services like Open Door. It's there's a lot of things I would like to promise, but it all hinges on the university changing the funding that it allocates towards mental health provision.
But how would you get them to change? If you were YUSU President, what would you do?
Well, unfortunately, the only thing we can do is lobby the university to do that. We can, through the campus newspapers and through the general mood on campus, is we can put pressure on the university to do that, as we did with the rewriting of the Porter's contract this year. That was a campaign led by students on an action by the university, and then the university changed its course of direction. I see no reason to think that it's impossible to get the university to relook how it allocates funding and to persuade them to allocate funding towards mental health services.
Okay. Another policy you've got is getting students to engage with YUSU more. How will you do this?
So I think engaging with YUSU YUSU has a bunch of regulations and bylaws and sub-regulations that if you don't have a huge amount of time to invest into that, it's very, very difficult to navigate. It's things like making sure people know how policy is made within YUSU. It's people like making sure how people know how they can get involved, rather than we seem to have teams of SABs and of part-time officers that largely they are overlapping friendship groups, and it seems quite insular. So it would be more of a case of trying to get the average student to take part in YUSU and understand how it works.
So do you not think at the moment the average student knows how to get involved with YUSU? Because I think they do. I know how to get involved with YUSU.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily that people who have concerns with how YUSU is behaving, or say you want to run a campaign, say you want to have a YUSU referendum held on an issue, that it's not necessarily clear how to get that done.
Okay. What experience do you have that would make you right for YUSU President?
I don't know that there's any experience you could have that would specifically suit you for being YUSU President. I've worked with YUSU in terms of I'm the comment editor of news. I was on the York Student Think Tank Committee for a year, and I'm the chair of the Uni of York Lib Dems. So I have experience working with organisations in a role where you are working alongside others and where you are kind of having a directing role, so as chair, which is essentially what the president is. Okay.
What has Ben Leatham done wrong, in your opinion?
I think Ben Leatham's been very good. Of the three presidents that we've had while I was here, what I would say, he didn't deliver on his pledge when he was campaigning that he would have like a petitions.org site for YUSU. So I think it's not necessarily that he's done wrong, but that's something that he didn't deliver on.
Okay. Yeah, so that's very interesting. Could you sum up your campaign for us in 5 words?
Transparency, accessibility, welfare, openness and representation.
Fantastic. And so lastly, you were 2.5 when you got in your local newspaper. What was that for?
That was a scandal because my dad was part of a religious organisation that forbade its members to have children, and I was born in secret, and he was not public about that until I was 2.5, and we had to move from where we were living there to Newcastle.
Wow, that's Gosh, that's really interesting. Thank you very much, Ciaran.
And